Allow dear friends. My name is Xavier, and this is Gems of Education. First off, I know it's been a long while since I put on an episode here or an episode in our interview show, Oh God Guide Me, but I'm so happy to be back and working on videos again. In this episode, we will be covering the founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah. Who was he? What did he do? Hopefully, I can shed some light on this subject, but believe me, this will be in no way an exhaustive source of information on Baha'u'llah. I'm also going to be covering the other central figures of the faith in future videos. That way we have at least a bit of foundation moving into the future of this channel and these educational videos. So once again, thank you for watching, and let's begin. Baha'u'llah means the glory of God and is a sort of mashup of the Arabic words Baha, meaning glory, and Allah, or Allah, meaning God. Baha'u'llah was born on November 12, 1817 in Tehran, Persia, which is present-day Iran. Baha'u'llah was born into a noble family, his father being a vizier, which is a high-ranking political advisor or minister in the Muslim world. When Baha'u'llah's father died, Baha'u'llah was offered his position, but declined it. So instead of a life of ease and luxury, Baha'u'llah chose a life of service and also one of great suffering. You may see the similarities between this story and the life of the Buddha, who also gave up a high-ranking position to serve and minister to the people's needs. Baha'u'llah had 14 children, and his oldest, Abdul-Baha, was appointed his successor and head of the Baha'i faith in Baha'u'llah's will. We will have a video in the future about Abdul-Baha's life. In 1844, a young man known as the Bab, meaning the gate, had become the leader of a new religious movement known as the Babis. The Bab will also be covered in a future video, as he, Abdul-Baha, and Baha'u'llah are the three central figures in the Baha'i faith. In his teachings, the Bab prepared his followers for him whom God shall make manifest, the promised one of all religions. This movement spread rapidly across Persia. When Baha'u'llah heard of this movement and the teachings, he became an ardent follower of the Babi movement. He became one of its most prominent believers. Now, the emergence of a new religion, as often happens, was met with significant opposition by the Muslim leaders and government at the time, which I won't detail here because that deserves its own video. But Baha'u'llah suffered imprisonment and also a severe punishment known as the bastinado, where the prisoner is usually strapped down and the soles of the feet were beaten with a rod, sometimes until they bled. During the Bab's ministry, the Babis were violently persecuted, murdered, and imprisoned. One of these terrible but thrilling stories is the defenders at Fort Tabarci, which will be another future video. So we're stacking up videos for the future now, so I hope you guys are ready, and I hope you'll join me for those also. After years of persecution, in 1850, the Bab was executed at the age of 30. Sadly, in 1852, a group of radical Babis attempted to assassinate the Shah, which is a sort of emperor or king in Persia, so a very important person. The attempt was a failure, and the assassins were rounded up and executed. They claimed that they were working alone, but the Persian government nonetheless blamed the entire Babi community. During this time, many Babis were killed or imprisoned. Baha'u'llah was one of the prisoners sent to the Siyachal, or the Black Pit. This was a hellish underground prison with only one entrance and no sunlight. Baha'u'llah spent 4 months in this prison and described the pit in the Epistle to the Son of the Wolf. Here is an excerpt. As to the dungeon in which this wronged one and others similarly wronged were confined, a dark and narrow pit were preferable. Upon our arrival, we were first conducted along a pitch-black corridor, from whence we descended 3 steep flights of stairs to the place of confinement assigned to us. The dungeon was wrapped in thick darkness, and our fellow prisoners numbered nearly 150 souls, thieves, assassins, and highwaymen. Though crowded, it had no other outlet than the passage by which we entered. No pen can depict that place, nor any tongue describes its loathsome smell. Most of these men had neither clothes nor bedding to lie on. God alone knoweth what befell us in that most foul-smelling and gloomy place. But while in this terrible place, an event that would shake the earth's foundations occurred. While in the Black Pit, Baha'u'llah had a vision of a maiden from God. From here, Baha'u'llah received his mission as the messenger from God, the promised one that the Bab had prepared his followers for, the return of Christ, and the return of the promised one of all previous religions that humanity must now look towards for guidance. Baha'u'llah described the revelation as similar to a waterfall pouring over him. I was but a man like others asleep upon my couch, when lo, The breezes of the All-Glorious were wafted over me, and taught me the knowledge of all that hath been. This thing is not from me, but from one who is almighty and all-knowing. Fortunately, after hearing of the would-be assassins' confessions, in which they said they had worked alone, the Russian ambassador requested that Baha'u'llah be released from that most terrible dungeon. The Persian government agreed, but only if Baha'u'llah and his family left Persia. In 1853, Baha'u'llah was exiled to Baghdad, Iraq. Baha'u'llah in 1863 was once again exiled, this time from Baghdad to Constantinople, which is modern-day Istanbul. Here is an image of the different cities Baha'u'llah was forced into exile by various governments. Before he left Baghdad, Baha'u'llah went for 12 days to the Garden of Rizwan, which is the Garden of Paradise. This is a subject I've already covered in a previous video, and we'll leave that link in the description. While in the Garden of Rizwan, Baha'u'llah declared that he was the promised one the Bab had prophesied, and this was the beginning of the Baha'i faith. Baha'u'llah would spend the rest of his life as a prisoner or an exile from one land to another, facing adversity and hatred, numerous attempts on his life, including one by Baha'u'llah's own half-brother. Eventually, Baha'u'llah was exiled for the final time in 1868 to the penal city of Akka. It was described as a city so foul that the birds which flew over it would drop dead out of the sky. Baha'u'llah, as he had already done, spent the days of his life helping others and teaching the revelation of God that he had received. In Akka, the Baha'i holy book, our Bible, if you will, the Kitabi Aqdas, or Most Holy Book, was revealed. Baha'u'llah passed into the Abha kingdom on May 29, 1892, having never been successfully silenced or put to death by all the world governments that rose against him. I wish I had more time and, honestly, the ability to describe the station of Baha'u'llah, his greatness, his generosity, his fortitude, his divine sublimity, but this is not in my capabilities. I really hope you enjoyed this video and will join me in future ones. Please share this with your friends, your family, and look into the Baha'i faith to discover the truth for yourself, because I'm just a dum-dum on the internet and shouldn't be your only source of info about the Baha'i faith. The writings are what really matter. And again, thank you. Please like and subscribe and share this video, and just have a beautiful day. I love you all. Goodbye.